Tony Jones drops a "What if I told you?" Who's the mystery player the Jazz tried to acquire? Next on Locked on Jazz.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I am David Locke. Today's show, it's a points game Thursday, so we will break down and look at the hottest players, coldest players in the NBA who are having the biggest impact positively and negatively. I know everyone comes to a sports discussion so that they can get themselves a little history. We'll do that. We'll give you the history of the development of protecting the rim, which we talked about yesterday. That was ever so important. Building off the conversation the last 2 days, we'll discuss whether or not really right now is a time to be fair, that it's fair to talk about or evaluate our young players in the environment that they're playing in. We'll start with Tony Jones dropping a "What if I told you?" Today's show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla cake flavor. Caffeinated cake and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com. At Amazon. Tony Jones writes in the New York Times /Athletic. I love talking about Tony Jones again. I miss him. People have said a lot about the Jazz tanking for multiple seasons. Why didn't they try to be competitive? What if I told you that they had a trade lined up 3 years ago for a significant win now piece? Because they did. And what if I told you that the agent told the Jazz the player preferred to go elsewhere? And because that happened, in the end, the Jazz, that player was traded elsewhere. And that's the conundrum. Well, I really screwed up Tony's work. That's the conundrum that a small market team like Utah faced. The Jazz eventually realized the only thing they could completely control was their draft picks. And they acted accordingly. Like, there's a lot here. Let me give that to you again. What if I told you that the Jazz had a trade lined up 3 years ago for a significant win now piece? Because they did. And what if I told you the agents told the Jazz the player preferred to go elsewhere? Okay, that's part one of this. Who is that? Well, in the season in which Tony Jones, we can just start doing deductive reasoning, right? Is that Plato? Who is the father of deductive? I'm sure it was. Never mind. I was going to get in trouble there. Bizarre. It was Aristotle. Bizarrely, for hundreds of thousands of years, we think men were the only ones who ever did anything. So I'm sure somebody else came up with it. We credited Aristotle. Okay, that was going to be my point. We can use some deductive reasoning. Tony Jones writes 3 years ago, and if we go and look at who the transactions that were made 3 years ago, we can probably start to deduce pretty quickly. It wasn't Joe Harris who went to Detroit. It wasn't Victor Oladipo. It wasn't Rashawn Holmes. It wasn't Patty Mills. It wasn't Dylan Brooks. It wasn't John Collins because we got John Collins. So it was one of 4 players. It was either Jrue Holiday, which was talked about at the time and rumored that the Jazz might have been involved trying to get Jrue Holiday in the trade, and Jrue Holiday goes to Boston and actually wins Boston a championship in really one of Milwaukee's worst moves ever that they should have seen coming, that by getting Dame Lillard meant that Jrue Holiday ended up in Boston. So it could have been very well maybe Jrue Holiday. That's, if you read the internet right now, that's what most people think it was. They think it was Jrue Holiday. And that might be true. But I'm not sure Jrue Holiday's agent said no, but maybe. The other part of that is that it could be Jrue Holiday. His agent is Jason Glishan of Glishan Sports Management. We don't have any direct history with him that I'm aware of. But okay. The next one is, it could have been Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal got moved that offseason. That name has not been talked about. Bradley Beal, the Suns acquired Bradley Beal for Jordan Goodwin, Isaiah Todd, for the Wizards, for Chris Paul in that deal. What's interesting on that one is that Bradley Beal's agent is Mark Bartelstein, who's also Gordon Hayward's agent. Okay. And maybe Bradley Beal didn't want to move from one losing situation to the other. The next one is Damian Lillard. The Bucks acquired Dame Lillard in the 3-team deal from Portland. Seems like that would have been fairly perfect. Is it possible that Dame Lillard said he didn't want to come back to Utah? His agents are the good ones. Jazz don't have a lot of history with the good ones. The fourth one is who I think it is. So I don't know. Okay, let me just clarify this. I'm playing with all of you, the rest of you. This is not Jazz employee knows the answer here. Okay. But I do think we were in on Jrue Holiday. I just don't think they said no. Okay. So that's my take there. I don't think we were in on Bradley Beal. I don't think it matched what we wanted to do at the time. It could have been Dame. There could be a real thing on Dame. Like, it'd be surprising. But at the time, I think Dame really won a championship and we weren't there. And so I think they might have, there's a chance. I think it's Kristaps Porzingis. Kristaps Porzingis got moved that year. And Justin Zanuck has always been kind of connected with Kristaps Porzingis. We've had a ton of Jeff Schwartz clients and have a great relationship with Jeff Schwartz. And part of me thinks that it was Kristaps Porzingis. That we saw Lauri and Kristaps Porzingis as a mammoth frontline deal, allowed Will to play 5 out. Like I think Will's desire has been to play 5 out from the day he got here. And that Porzingis was the piece of that puzzle. I don't know. But that's my guess. If you want, I'll let you guys vote. I'll put a quiz question up on the show. On the Discord channel. We'll let you guys discuss it in our exclusive Everyday or Discord channel. But I will say my guess was Kristaps Porzingis. The others just don't, a little bit out of Aristotle's deductive reasoning. I think Kristaps Porzingis makes sense. He was leaving Washington. He was available. Boston got him for nothing. We could have easily made that trade. And I just don't see the other three lining up. I don't see us being interested in Beal. I don't see Dame also just was at a funny timeline for us. So that's my take. My take is that what if I told you from Tony Jones is Kristaps Porzingis? The other one in here is this idea that a small market team like Utah, which agents are blocking unless you're winning, can't do anything other than build a team the way the Jazz are building it right now. I just don't think anyone can build their team other than any way that was right now. This is the new model. The Houston Rockets are one of the most appealing markets in the NBA. This is what they did. The Houston Rockets lost horrifically. And frankly, like if you want to criticize us, we should have lost more horrifically. Like, I think actually, if you want to criticize the Jazz, they should have done this more dramatically than they've done it, which is the contrary to what the league's saying. But the Houston Rockets won 17, 20, and 22 games in 3 straight seasons. They got themselves 4 players in Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Amon Thompson, and Reed Shepherd. And it's not enough, but it's something. Then they added Fred VanVleet, and they added Dylan Brooks, and then they parlayed Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green into Kevin Durant, and then Fred VanVleet got hurt. And if Fred VanVleet hadn't got hurt, they're probably number 1 or 2 or 3 in the West right now. But San Antonio got Victor. Oklahoma City got Shea in the trade. Then they went and did a bunch of draft picks. They were horrific for 2.5 years. And they got Chet Holmgren out of their pick, and they got Jalen Williams out of the Clippers pick. And then they added Isaiah Hartenstein, and they added Alex Caruso. And because they already had Shea, they can add pieces. This is the new model. This is how you build a team now. Washington, we'll see what they're doing. They're doing it uniquely. They drafted a bunch of young players, Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George. They don't have anything. There's nothing there. They're not going to win any games. So they've added Anthony Davis and Trae Young. We drafted Keyonte George and Bryce Sensabaugh, Isaiah Collier, and you got the list. We don't have anything. We have Lauri, who's good. We don't have anything. So we traded for Jaren Jackson. Now we got something. This is the model. Detroit's done it with Cade Cunningham. Unless you get number one, and they're so damn good that they can just carry you, which is what Cade Cunningham and Victor Wembanyama are doing right now. It's the way to do it. Denver did a little differently with Jokic, but that's an old build, actually, at this point. Right? This is New York did a little differently with trading and acquiring plan. Cleveland did it a little bit differently, but not that differently, frankly. Cleveland went and drafted Evan Mobley, drafted Darius Garland, drafted Colin Sexton. Were terrible for 3 years. Went and made the big trade using some of the Lauri Markkanen, who they had acquired, to get Donovan Mitchell. Then they went and added Jared Allen nicely. Jared Allen's that piece, and they're doing the same thing. That's actually the same model. So the league can do whatever it wants, and it can act all whole, high, and mighty. There's only one way to build a team right now, and this is it. And that's really what Tony's talking about. If you're New York, they did a little differently. Give them credit. Denver got Jokic and they built around it. But if you go back to how, but there's not another way to build a team. Unless you get the number one pick, which means you got to tank. And the only other way to do it is grab a bunch of talent. The only way to acquire talent is through the draft. So for all this discussion and all this other stuff, there's just not another method. And you start screwing with the draft, people don't get the draft. You just have some teams terrible for a long, long time. But the fact is, it's 2 or 3 year rebuild, not being very good for a while. That's the way the league works. But what the league really better shut up about is right now they wanted this damn parity. They got Detroit and Oklahoma City as the 2 best teams in San Antonio in the NBA. They got parity. They got what they want. Everyone's got a chance. It just takes a long time. So figure out what they want. Maybe they don't want it. Maybe they want to go back to Lakers, Celtics, 76ers like they did in the 80s because that's really good TV ratings. Is this a fair time to critique the Utah Jazz players when they don't play with a lot of guys? And a history lesson on the rim. Oh, so exciting, a history lesson. Thursday edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by our good friends over at Woodward Park City. Stoke time. Get it out. Have some fun. Come right over the bump. It's only 20 minutes from downtown. It's the easiest place in Utah to learn, experience your first time skiing and snowboarding. It's Woodward Park City. Bounce from parks to pits to ramps to tramps and back again. Rip hot laps with a posse after school. Head into the evening. Maximize mountain time and learn how to have radical fun in a safe environment with experiential learning at Woodward. The Woodward Tribe in-seasonal multi-week programs build skills and confidence in a Stoke-inspired environment. And I said it, just 20 minutes from Salt Lake City offers experiential learning with facilities for all abilities. Learn more at Woodward Park City. The all-new Woodward Park City Winter Mountain Park Season Pass, $4.99, ride all season at one of the best terrain parks. Get all the absolute best value of your winter, plus the all-access membership. The flagship gives you year-round fun, indoors and out. Get everything Woodward can throw, ride, jump, ski, play across every season. Get your kids out in the outdoors, having fun, learning skills, doing fun things with other kids, build confidence, develop skills, have a blast. Ages 4 to 14, the winter ski and snowboard program at Woodward Park City. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at 5 Hour Energy. What is your flavor? What fires you up? Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Root Rainbow, or Cotton Candy, plus birthdays back. The board is set. The flavors are ready. The number one pick for the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. Which one are you going with? 5 Hour Energy shots give you a boost with zero sugar. A 5 Hour Energy has a lot of upcoming flavor innovations planned. So what is it you want out there? I like mint mojito, by the way. I'm the only one. It's kind of a family joke that anything mint comes out, I buy it, and then it goes out the market. Find your new favorite flavor at 5 Hour Energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com. Is it cotton candy? Is it confetti craze? Is it fruity rainbow? Is it bold cherry candy style flavor with the sweet little tart edge? Is it the grape? Is it the berry? You make your choice whatever it might be. I want the mint mojito. That's the flavor I want them to come out with. Cool, crisp, caffeinated watermelon, juicy watermelon candy flavor there for you. Plus good old blue raspberry like you're having a snow cone. It's awesome. It's all at 5-hour energy. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen. Thank you so much for joining the Everydayer Club. We added a few more people yesterday. I want to mention, I got an email I thought was a good question yesterday from our Everydayer Club. This was from Peter Snow, and Peter was talking about the Nurkic conversation. He says, hey, in regards to Nurk as a backup center, isn't JJ much better as a power forward anyway? So he can play center if needed, but shouldn't we spend more time at his natural position, especially since he's not a great rebounder? And that's a good build off of yesterday's conversation. Appreciate Pete sending me that note. That's in the Everydayer Club. You get direct one-on-one texting with me. Pete just sent it to me, and I responded this morning. So my thought on that, just to share with you, is yes, but I do think there's some value to JJ at center, Lauri at 4, and seeing what that lineup can do. It may not be great defensively. It may not be great rebounding. It might be so great offensively that it's worth it. And so I do think that there's probably some minutes where you want to see that, at least for part of the year, and expect to use that for some of it. But, I mean, if you can use JJ for 36 minutes a night as the power forward and have it work the whole time and have him be at his best defensively, that may be the answer. You can join the Everydayer Club, one-on-one direct access, texting with me, exclusive content from Leaf to Lead on the draft, getting ready for things. I'll do bonus content when it's appropriate as well. Also, you get game notes from me. If you're in the Everydayer All Access Club, you get a bunch of notes. You got a bunch of stuff on Zion this morning. That's all at lockedonjazz.supercast.com. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. It's $15 a month. You also get a daily newsletter sent into your inbox. You also get access to the merch club and getting Locked On merch you can't get anywhere else. You also get ad-free Locked On Jazz, ad-free Locked On Sports Today, and access to our Discord channel to be part of the best jazz community out there that we're building every day. You can also just get those last 3 for $5 a month as well. It's all at the lockedonjazz.supercast.com. Love to have you aboard. Welcome aboard to all of our new members of the Everydayer Club. All right. I do want to just throw out there, for the next 20 some odd games, really what we're going to be doing is putting a huge spotlight on Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski, Bryce Sensabaugh, and Cody Williams, and whether they're good enough to play rotation minutes on the Utah Jazz in 26-27. That is what the next 20 games are about. They're going to play a lot of those games as the best players on the floor. And that's a difficult scenario for them. And it's very different than what we're going to be asking them to do in 26-27 when they are not going to be the best players on the floor. So I think it's worth just putting out there, and just in fairness to them, we're going to still do it, that this is not actually the scenario that we're asking and trying to discover whether they can play. Right? Now, tonight, Isaiah Collier should kick the crap out of Jeremiah Fears. He's a rookie. He's struggling. He's exhausted. You're a year older than he is. If you're going to be a rotation player in the NBA, you should kick the crap out of him. Derek Queen should not manhandle Kyle Filipowski tonight. He's a rookie. He's kind of all right, I think. I don't know. They gave up the franchise pick for him, like, whoa. But, like, he's not. I know they love to call him Baby Jokic, Little Dream. Let's wait here on Hall of Fame comparisons. Like, these are guys that you should be able to handle. Bryce Sensabaugh needs to be able to get free from Herb Jones tonight, because that's actually what you're going to have to do. So on some nights, I think, like the other night against Houston, when you have no one else to bail you out and their defense is digging in you, they're getting physical, and you just have no release valve, and you have no Lauri. Lauri's not making a shot, so you don't have anyone to give you a break, and Keyonte's not out there to help you handle. Like, yeah, that's tough. That's really tough. And I think we just have to have some grace on that. All right. Yesterday we talked about the rim and how the league defensively has become, Detroit has this 11-point advantage in the restricted area. Well, here's last night. I did 5 feet and in last night. Right now, it's for me to pull on clean the glass. It's easier just to do restricted area. So last night, Detroit makes 14 field goals in the restricted area. Oklahoma City makes 9. So they have a 10-point advantage, exactly on their season average, over Oklahoma City at the rim. What's more important is that Oklahoma City only got 17 shots at the rim, which is in the 22nd percentile. And Detroit only got 21, which is in the 29th percentile. So here are the two best teams in the NBA who play last night. No Shea, no Jalen. Obviously, Oklahoma City's limited, but the still principles are the same. The other one that happened last night is Oklahoma City or Detroit got 42% of their misses as offensive rebounds. Oklahoma City got 33. So exactly what we talked about on yesterday's show. And you can go back and listen to it. We talked about just Detroit has it model. San Antonio is one of the other teams that doesn't allow shots at the rim. This is because of Victor. Victor's breaking the game. But last night, Toronto only gets 17 shots in the restricted area. Crazy thing is they only make 7. They shoot 41% at the rim. It's one of the lowest rim shooting percentages of any team all year. And San Antonio makes 6 more shots at the restricted area, so they win the restricted area by 12. This is really interesting. We've talked all the time about winning the 3-point realm. It is now seeming to be that winning the restricted areas every bit is more important. San Antonio made 8 more threes than Toronto last night, and that was a 3-point game. Oklahoma City made 9 more threes than Detroit and lost last night. So there's something interesting going on here with this. Now, you also have games like Milwaukee made 7 more threes in Cleveland because Cleveland didn't play their guys and couldn't make shots last night, and so Milwaukee wins. The history of the rim is really interesting. It all stems back to Mike Budenholzer in 2021. The 2020-2021 Milwaukee Bucks started denying the rim at a rate that nobody ever had in the history of the NBA, and it changed the way we play defense. And what's so interesting is we all talk about this as a 3-point shooting league and all these things. It's because nobody can get to the rim anymore. So a little history here. In 2010-11, 35% of the shots were at the rim. So that's 15 years ago. 10 years ago, 36% of shots were at the rim. 5 years ago, which was the year of the Mike Budenholzer, suddenly Milwaukee's not allowing anyone to get to the rim. He only allows 26% of all. No team had ever been under 30% of opponent shots at the rim. And Mike Budenholzer's team went to 26% in Milwaukee and won the championship. So from 35 and 36% to 5 years ago, went to 33%. And now the league's at 31%. You can't get to the rim. I worked with Quinn Snyder many years back on building the optimum shooting distribution for a team. And we came up with 40-40-20. You were trying to get 40% of shots at the rim, 40% of your shots is threes, and 20%. It's laughable now. You could not get 40% of your shots at the rim anymore. The league average is 31%. In 2010 and 15 years ago, no offensive team took less than 30% of their shots at the rim, and only three teams were over 40%. That was the same 5 years later. Then 5 years ago, 5 teams were under 30% of taking their shots at the rim, and only 1 team was over 40%. We now have 12 teams in the NBA are under 30% of their shots at the rim. New Orleans, we play tonight with Zion, is the only team taking 40% of their shots at the rim in the NBA. What's interesting is rim makes are up. So when you're getting to the rim, it's a fast break, it's open floor. It's why everyone's talking about pace. Here's the real change. In 2021, 26%, Milwaukee held teams to 26% of their shots. No one had ever gone under 30. The next year, 7 teams changed their defense, or 6 teams changed their defense and got it so that they got under 30. So in 1 year, we went from no team ever having allowed less than 30% of their shots at the rim to the next year, 7 teams did it. The next 2 years were 4. Then we swung back in 24-25, 10 teams suddenly, and the league changed the rules, by the way, so they allowed you to start fouling on drives again because the offenses got too good. So what actually happened is everyone went to protect the rim, and then everyone started making shots, and then the league was calling fouls on drives, and now the league's not calling fouls on drives again because they're trying to keep the scoring down. So in 24-25, 10 teams suddenly didn't allow 30% of the shots at the rim. Golden State was at 24.5. They just literally took away the rim. This year, there are 12 teams in the league now that don't allow 30% of the opponent's shots to be at the rim. We're one of them. It's a crazy transformation. Literally in 2021, the Milwaukee Bucks were the first team to do it at 26%. And now 5 years later, 12 of the 30 teams in the NBA achieve it. It's why you draft big. It's why you trade for Jaren Jackson Jr. It's why you have Walker Kessler. It's why you have Lauri Markkanen. But this is the league now. The league is winning the possession battle. By the way, Oklahoma City, Detroit last night, offensive rebounds. and winning the restricted area. That is the league now. That's the change. It's pretty interesting. Points gained is next on Locked On Jazz. Who's the hottest player in the NBA? Who are the coldest players in the NBA? Who's having the most positive and negative impact? Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. I used Game Time to go see The Head and the Heart open for Brandi Carlile the other day, and I waited, and I got lower bowl, great seats for $40 to see The Head and the Heart and Brandi Carlile. Loved it. I may have sat in my broadcast seat, but I loved it. There's nothing like the NBA arena, the crowd, the energy, the concerts, whatever it might be. So that's why Game Time does it for you. No, I mean, literally, let me just tell you I went to Game Time. Very simple. I had my all-in pricing thing, so I didn't have to wonder what the fees were going to be. It showed me exactly where the seat was. I do know the arena. It was Delta Center. I got it with one thing. I got an email 1 second later that said, here's your ticket. Are you ready to claim it? And it was done. It was perfect. I don't need to read a copy for you. I don't need to. It was perfect. It's why you use Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase, and you'll find out for yourself. It was absolutely fun. And the prices on Game Time were way cheaper and available to me than the prices on the other places I checked. I will tell you that. I saved a lot of money. I probably saved upwards of $80 by using Game Time on that, from what I could see. So there, that's it. Take the guesswork out, buying tickets. Download the Game Time app. Use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Today's show is also brought to you by Indeed. If you're in the market, workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, looking to hire, inbox overflowing, you have one position you have to fill. When the pressure's on, you need to get the right hire. This is where Indeed Sponsored Jobs kicks in. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. So here's a great stat for you. Indeed will hire 27 people in the minute we talk about this, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. The less stress, less time, more results when you need the right person to cut through the chaos. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by saying you heard it on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This job is for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. All right, let's do a little points gained. Points gained is our own offensive metric that ranks where players are offensively. It looks at two statistics or two qualifications. One is your ability to get a shot off, which is actually kind of the undervalued, difficult skill in the NBA. And then it also looks at your efficiency in an individual possession. And the way we look at it is we take it down to the game level and we analyze what a player does compared to if the average player in the NBA uses the same average offensive player, uses the same amount of possessions, then what would that player do with those possessions? So in other words, the best offensive player in the NBA, this is so weird. My bottom guy that I always check all of my work on. Oh, actually, because something went wrong. Okay, good. The bottom guy I check all my work on for years has been Zubac because he's a Z. And if Zubac is not on the list, then I kind of know that somehow I didn't get to the last player on the spreadsheet. And then Zubac went to Indiana in a trade, and Zubac hasn't played as much as he has before. So yeah, but actually for some reason, the bottom players are not showing up on my sheet today. I'm not sure why. Oh, there we go. Now I know why. Okay. It was something wrong. I couldn't figure out why, because my double check was Zubac and Zubac wasn't playing. All right. So now we're ready to go. So the top 10 offensive players for the NBA season right now, for the 25-26 season, are Nikola Jokic, Blake Hinson. That's right, the Utah Jazz. Blake Hinson is on fire, shooting 67% from three in 3 games. Okay, that's not probably fair, but that's how good he's been. Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Austin Reeves is still number 4. Steph Curry, 5. Jalen Duren, 6. Ty Jerome in limited time, 7. Con Knippel really should win Rookie of the Year. Truly one of the most remarkable seasons we've seen out of a rookie. 49% from the field, 44% from 3, 89% on 15 scoring opportunities a night, and Con Knippel's 2 points better than league average. Jimmy Butler's 2.1. Sam Merrill in Cleveland, 2.1. Kevin Durant, 2.0. Ryan Kalkbrenner, 2.0. Those are the best. Anthony Edwards, Kawhi Leonard, 1.9. Zion having an amazing year, 1.8. Chet Holmgren, 1.8. We'll watch Zion tonight. Most negatively deferential offensive players in the NBA. Killian Hayes has been back for 1 game, and he's actually right back in his spot. Jalen Green in Phoenix, minus 3.4. Keegan Murray, who's injured again, minus 2.3. He's had a terrible year in Charlotte. John Morant, minus 2.2. Derek White, minus 1.9. Cody Martin in Indiana, minus 1.9. Jeremiah Fears, who we'll see tonight, minus 1.8. Caleb Love in Portland, minus 1.8. Trey Mann in Charlotte, minus 1.7. Herb Jones, who we'll see tonight, minus 1.6. Ben Sharaf, the rookie in Brooklyn, minus 1.6. Vince Williams was minus 1.6 before that tragic injury. LaMelo Ball, minus 1.6. Rob Dillingham, minus 1.6. Lonzo Ball, minus 1.6. Those are the coldest players, or the most negatively differential, not coldest, just most negatively differential. And that's part of the whole premise here, is those are much more negative people think. Here are your Jazz players for the year. Lauri at 1.3, Keyonte at 1.3. Your goal, by the way, is to build a roster where nobody's negative. So no matter where they move possessions, you end up with an offense or viable possession. Think about that for the Jazz here moving forward. This gets interesting. Lowry's at 1.3. Keontae's at 1.3. Svi's at 0.6. Bryce is at 0.2. Kyle's even. Okay. And Isaiah Collier's got himself to even. So all those guys can play. JJ in his limited time with the Jazz was even. Yusuf Nurkic is minus 0.6. As much as we all love Nurkic, and I brought this up the other night, his inability to finish at the rim makes him probably the lowest rated center offensively in the NBA. Cody's minus 0.7, and Ace Bailey is minus 1.2, which is not stunning. It's kind of where rookies are, which will make Con Knippel so incredible. All right. Yusuf Nurkic at minus 1. What did I say Nurk was? Minus 0.6. Here are the other centers in the NBA that are equal or worse than him offensively this year. Alex Sarr, minus 0.8. Bam Adebayo, minus 1. Alfred Şengün, minus 1.1. And that's it. So that's worth kind of in the evaluation. As much as we love Nurk, he is truly because of his inability to finish at the rim and the shots that centers get and what is expected of center. He is truly one of the worst or most negatively impact players in the NBA defensively. So that's, you got to keep a little bit of an eye on that. All right, last 10 games. And I always have to stretch this out to look at games played because, for example, Desmond Bane is the hottest player in the NBA right now over the last 10 games. Blake Hinson over 2. Con Knippel is number 2 in the NBA at plus 3.4. Anthony Edwards is 4. Jabari Smith, we just saw, is 5. Keyonte was, but he hasn't played enough. Karl Anthony Towns is on fire. Isaiah Joe, Luke Kennard, Guy Santos in Golden State getting a bunch of time playing well. Norman Powell, Oliver Prosper, Olivier Prosper, Moses Moody, Ty Jerome, G.G. Jackson, and Peyton Pritchard. Your least efficient offensive players right now with the most negative impact. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, who's now out for a while. Trey Johnson, the rookie in Washington, minus 3.3, really suddenly scuffling. Ace Bailey, minus 2.7. Jaime Jaquez, minus 2.7. Brandon Miller in Charlotte, that's surprising, minus 2.3. Bub Carrington, minus 2.6 in Washington. Zachary Richache, minus 2.5. A lot of second-year players hitting the wall here. OG Anunoby, minus 2.3. Alfred Şengün, minus 2.3, really struggling. Walter Clayton, minus 2.3 in Memphis. LaMelo Ball, finally at minus 2.2. Those are your points gained. Those are your hottest and coldest players in the NBA. And that is today's edition of Locked on Jazz postcast after this big one tonight against New Orleans. Lots of implications in this one. Jazz and the Pelicans, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back with you tomorrow for a Friday Ask LOJ edition of the program. If you want to join the Everydayer program, we'd love to have you. Join join for $5 a month. Get ad-free and Locked On Sports Today ad-free and access to the exclusive Discord channel. Be part of that group. Or $15, get one-on-one texting with me. Leave Tuline's bonus content, extra bonus content, newsletter into your thing, access to the merch store. It's all at LockedOnJazz.everydayer. LockedOnJazz.supercast.com. If you want to follow me on socials, it's DLock09. We now send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel on YouTube, Locked On NBA, plus on audio. Check out the big 3 in 30 at Locked On NBA.